Welcome to Revlog.
Hi, everyone.
We are
Greetings.
so glad that you're here. We decided to muster on without Pastor Chris. He's away from the office today, and so
There's a blank space
yes,
right here.
in our hearts, if nowhere else. But we will endeavor to persevere.
Yes, we will.
So glad that you're with us. We're looking at 2 Chronicles 9, 1 to 12 today. So the visit from the Queen of Sheba. Bryan.
Hello, Aaron.
I'm
Happy to be here today.
so glad to see you.
Yes.
Yeah, had you not shown up, I don't know what I would have done. So
It would be, come on in for conversations with Aaron. Come on close.
absolutely. So it's interesting that you say that because one of the first things that I noticed out of this was Sheba brought all the questions. And I thought she was the original Wednesday,
Oh, yeah.
midweek
Midweek in the
desert.
East.
Yes,
I don't know.
Middle East, yes. Or Thursday in the desert, Thursday with Solomon. She brought all the questions just
like Tuesdays with Maury.
Something
except
like
it's
that.
Thursdays with Solomon. I don't know.
just like you bring all the questions. So what did you get out of this?
First of all, this might have been a could it have been like a Jeopardy, like Solomon is the guest, she is the Alex Trebek figure.
There you go.
Solomon says, "I'll take mosquitoes for 50."
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Solomon was the Ken Jennings of his day. He answered all the questions right. So
The Ken Jennings of his day. That's good. Okay, this is one of those famous passages.
Right.
The Queen of Sheba coming to visit Solomon, and the chronicler, this area of the Bible, this section of the Bible, is really famous for setting forth the splendor of the Solomonic kingdom. You have pomp,
yep.
peacocks, and precious metals. That's a sermon I'm working on. The 3 points.
Yes.
Anyway, and so, but I think that what we have here is this wisdom edge and intellectual. It's like the Thursday in the City or whatever. The hard questions.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that perhaps Solomon's intellectual and, if I may, epistemological pursuits
Oh, indeed.
were the second only to the Temple Initiative. I think this was the most significant domain of his kingdom because it has to do with looking at reality,
Right.
and understanding how the Lord has set things in order.
That's interesting that you say that because really when you would speak to just anybody, you ask them about Solomon, they'll probably tell you that he was the wise king.
Yeah, they don't say he had gold, that
Yeah.
silver was as common as stones.
Right.
He doesn't. They don't say all that.
Talk about the building of the temple.
Right.
You may talk about the splendor of his the palaces because in the ancient world that was quite renowned. But really, most people today will say, many people will say 700 wives. But yeah, but
But that's a great point. His wisdom stands as this characteristic that
Right.
is over all, and the Bible tells us that he set in order many proverbs.
Right.
He spoke. The Bible says he spoke 3,000 proverbs. He was a great systematizer of knowledge. He looked into all kinds of botanical questions and entomological. You looked at creatures and all this kind of stuff. And he was very. It was very important to him to look at the world.
Yeah.
To look at the natural world and human systems.
I'm glad that you started with that because my first observation was different. I look at this chapter 9 and all I see is the pomp, and it's almost uncomfortable because the only time that you get a reference to the Lord is from this non-believer, from Sheba, and she's the one that says, "Oh, the Lord must have really
That's a
blessed
great
you.
point.
This your God must really be something else. All you hear from Solomon is, I answered all the questions right. That Solomon and you see these two heads of state with so much wealth that it's ostentatious, that she gives him stuff and he gives her more. And
It's a little bit like the elites,
Yeah.
in Davos, Switzerland or
Yeah,
something,
right.
gathering,
And-
to talk about how the world should be.
That's right. And so I see that, and I think I'm also looking down the road, seeing that now that Solomon has the temple built, his palace built, that Solomon begins his descent, and after, because when he winds up, it's not where he began.
So he's at the precipice.
Yes, yeah.
And the roller coaster is just about to tip over into the.
And really, the height of the Davidic kingdom really is at this, once the temple is built, and then from there it's this slow roll downhill for quite some time.
Yeah.
And
Centuries.
yeah. That's my observation. I'm just seeing this and realizing what is to come. And
Well, I was thinking, gosh, that's a little hard on Solomon, but it's probably justified. I mean, I'm not. That's not a pushback. I just that is.
no, I think it's
probably both and
because
maybe.
truly we still look at Solomon as this wise king, and God blessed him with that. He wanted that, and God gave him that in abundance.
Yeah.
And then, like many things, when we are blessed, we often take for granted.
You look at the most egregious things of Solomon's reign, and it's not being hard or harsh on towards Solomon at all. Really, I mean, he really did bring about a great decline.
Yeah.
Cataclysmic decline, really. But at this point, he's inviting hard questions, and I just, what monarch does that?
Absolutely.
What
Because it
monarch
also
does
sets you up that A, you might not know the answer, or
Right.
B, that it may shine light on something you're doing wrong.
Exactly.
And so to be able to invite them, no, I think that is exactly right. That to invite that is it kind of a great thing, because
Yeah.
we don't ever, when we're in a position of authority, we don't ever want to be looked on as weak or ineffective.
Exactly.
And
we want to hold on to that.
Right.
We want to keep that position of omniscience.
Yeah.
If we can.
Right. So any questions that come out of this?
My questions would be it's just one. Are we building a church that invites hard questions? And of course, you know where I'm going with that. I'm going to Thursday in the city, 7 p.m.
That's right.
No, it's not a promo, but it is really the church. I think used to be not this church. I'm talking about the church universal. It used to be the best place to ask questions.
That's right.
Witness the rise of the universities.
That's right.
That came about from the church. That was a church initiative, and in the Middle Ages. And so, are we inviting hard questions? We don't have anything to be afraid of.
That's exactly right.
We don't have anything to fear. We don't have to have pre-packaged questions. We don't have to be afraid of being proven inadequate or wrong. We already know we're inadequate and wrong in many things.
That's right.
So will we be again the best place for hard questions? Will we invite hard questions?
And we were just in worship planning last week. We were talking about this, that we want to be that kind of thing. And for years I have lauded you, and particularly the way that you have created a culture that just puts them out there and says, we're going to talk about it. And we may stumble, we may skin our knees, but
Yeah.
we're not going to be a place that says we're afraid to ask those questions. And Pastor Danny, when confronting marriage and he's
Absolutely.
and just how we do that as a church, we need to be a place that does those things well.
You bet.
So I'm
bet.
certainly grateful.
What
for
about
that.
you? question.
Yeah, so looking at this and in even working through all my discomfort about, just the opulence,
Yeah.
I still want to know that what I'm doing, wherever God has placed me, is a reflection of God's blessing in my life. As Sheba says, it is clear that the Lord has blessed you. And so do my actions, do my the things that I purport to believe, do they reflect God's moving in my life?
Aaron, that is uh, what response does
Yeah,
your pursuit and your really your life's work evoke from people?
that's
Do they
right.
say, well, that guy's working hard, or that guy
Yeah.
is here's what he's apparently all about, or do they say there's evidence, this is clearly evidence of God in your life?
Right. And I think
Like
we
she
should
did.
always do that kind of inventory, that kind of spiritual
Yeah,
inventory.
spiritual inventory.
And
Yeah.
it's, sometimes we need other people to kind of help us with that, but
Yeah.
we should at least be asking the question, Lord, am I reflecting you
Right.
and your work in my life?
That's a sobering question.
It should be.
You know, at my death or your death, do people say, "Man, he sure worried a lot," or he was, or what do they say?
I think that is a great way to frame that, and to say, I don't want there to be any questions at my death when people are talking, worried about how to eulogize me, that they can say, boy, he loved Jesus.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
may that be clear for all of us.
Indeed, indeed.
Well, we'd love to know your thoughts and reflections on this passage, and you can comment below.